Hello, everybody. I see our participant numbers rising. So as others join, we'll give them about a minute or so, and then we will get started with the Skidmore information session. So we'll get going in just a moment. We'll give it about another minute. Thank you all for being here, those of you who have arrived so far. Okay, I think we will get started. Good evening from Saratoga Springs, New York. Good afternoon, good morning, good whatever, because I know some of you are not in the Eastern time zone in the US. So it's great to have people here from all over the country and all over the globe. Thank you so much for your interest in Skidmore and for joining us here this evening. As you can see on your screens, I am joined by two of our amazing student ambassadors who will introduce themselves to you in a moment. I'm Matt Cohen. I'm Senior Associate Director of Admissions here at Skidmore. This is my 26th year at the college, so I've been here for quite a while. Certainly started during a time when we couldn't do this, so change is sometimes very good. So thanks again for joining, and I can tell you that there are basically two things that I want to try to share with you this evening. The first is to give you an idea about some things that we think make Skidmore different than other liberal arts colleges. And then I'll talk to you also about our admissions process and how that works and how you might position yourself to be a competitive applicant. Before we start, I do also want to encourage you to make heavy use of the Q&A. Please feel free to type in questions as we are presenting. Those of us who are not speaking at the moment will do our best to keep up with the questions in the Q&A. And then when the presentation is over, we have an hour. It may not take an hour. Maybe we'll do the full hour. Either way is fine. But if we have some questions that are remaining after our presentation portion is over, I may read some of those aloud, and the three of us will take turns providing you with the best answers that we can. So before I start, I'm going to turn it over to Aiden and Teo so that they can introduce themselves to you, tell you guys who they are, where they're from, what they're studying, what they do for fun, all kinds of things like that. So to avoid confusion, Teo, I'll throw it over to you to start, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Teo. I am a rising senior from Stamford, Connecticut, right outside of New York City. I am a studio art major concentrating in digital media. Outside of my work in the admissions department and my academics, I work in the art equipment cage on campus. I frequent the tabletop club. I also take voice lessons. I intern for the Ukrainian Classical Voice Project, and I do freelance video work on and off campus for a bunch of different clients.
And my name is Aiden. I'm also a rising senior and I'm from Maryland. I'm an environmental science major here and I'm on the swim team. Aside from working in admissions, I am the captain of peer academic coaching for the Environmental Science and Studies Department. PAC is a drop-in tutoring service that every department offers. And last fall, I studied abroad in Ecuador. I also have a radio show.
WSPN, tune in. Okay, so
Yeah.
thanks, guys. You'll hear more from them in just a few moments. So again, please take advantage of that Q&A if anything comes up based on what we said, or if you've arrived at the session with some Skidmore questions too. So we know that when students check us out, that we often have a pretty good idea of the other colleges that they may be interested in. There are a lot of very good, strong, small liberal arts colleges in our part of the country. So I always feel my job, at least for the next few moments, is to pull us out of that crowd and tell you a few things about Skidmore that we think are pretty cool. Hopefully you will agree and perhaps pique your interest. And I always like to begin with the incredible breadth of our academic offerings. Currently offering 43 majors on campus, we only have about 2,700 students. Although I will keep this session mostly statistics free because they're really boring to listen to, and I'm sure you've looked them up on your own. But a couple of stats I do want you to know about is our average class size of 16, and we only have 8 students per faculty. And to be able to offer a wide range of choice with those numbers is something that we're very pleased with. I do think it's important to note that we don't admit by major. So we have the same set of expectations for someone who wants to do STEM or dance or French or music or anything in between. If you come to Skidmore, you would have until toward the end of sophomore year to declare your major. And a lot of students join us undecided. And we don't view that as unmotivated or unfocused. We figure when you fill out your common application, you will likely be 17 years old and you may not know what you want to do with your life yet. And we are more than okay with that and have a long line of faculty here that are eager to help you toward those decisions. Double majoring is quite common at Skidmore and definitely doable in the 4-year period. We have students pursuing dual majors, often in areas that are very unrelated to each other, and we think that's kind of fun. We had a Skidmore brochure a number of years ago that tried to identify the typical Skidmore student, and one of the answers that was provided was the tap dancing brain surgeon, which may sound like a joke, but it's actually true on our campus. There are students here who are doing very serious STEM research here and also dancing in performances. A do both mentality is very common here at the college. Our largest major is management and business, which might be a little unexpected from a small liberal arts college, but we have a very large and very strong department in that area. And that's usually followed by subjects that include English, psych, bio, studio art, environmental studies, government, and after that, you have almost 40 other choices. So lots of choice, small campus. Next, I want to briefly touch upon the incredible strength in the arts and performing arts on our campus. I think it is not a stretch to say we have the best in those areas at a liberal arts college. It's a corner that I think we've carved out. We know many of our students who study these areas also applied to the top art schools in our entire country, places like RISD and Juilliard, and also Skidmore. And if they pick us among those, it's because they don't only want to do that in college. They want to be able to pursue their craft, yet also study anthropology, English, business, STEM, all kinds of things like that. And I know that many of our students do appreciate that. So we offer conservatory level programs here, but we're not a conservatory. And I know a lot of our students appreciate that. So if you're into the arts, either as a major or you just like being around them, I think you'll really like it here. We do them exceedingly well, particularly for the kind of college that we are. And if the arts are not your scene, that's great too. But I guarantee you, you will have a friend here who is super into it. And you'll go to their show or their art opening or whatever it might be. And we just believe that it will make your time in college just a little bit more interesting. Quick word about clubs and organizations. We've got about 130 of them, plus 19 Division III varsity sports. Our clubs include what you would expect. They are academic, athletic, religious, social, cultural, political. If you can think of it, we probably have it here. If you come to Skidmore with an idea for a club that we don't have yet, start it. We would love for that list to grow, and it often does. But there is one area that I know we will not grow into, and this is something that I know makes us very different from many of our competitors, and that is a Greek system. We have no fraternities or sororities on our campus. We've never had them. We never will. I am certain of that. If you know anything about the social scene that exists at Skidmore, you will know that we have what I know is a well-deserved reputation for having a student body that's friendly, welcoming, open-minded, laid back, cooperative. The students here are just flat out nice. And I've been at Skidmore for a really long time now, 26th year. And in my view, it is the thing that has remained the most consistent about Skidmore. The students are just flat out nice. And this is hard to quantify. It doesn't show up in a US News and World Report chart or anything like that. But all of you out there, I'm going to assume that you'd really like to go to college where people are nice to you. And I've just always thought that that should be part of it. And I believe strongly that that is the environment that we've created here on campus. Finally, I think no discussion of our distinctiveness within the world of small liberal arts colleges in the Northeast US would be complete without at least a quick description of our home city of Saratoga Springs. Now, I'm going to keep it professional here on this webinar and not name any other liberal arts colleges in the Northeast or the towns they're located in, but I would encourage you to compare all of them to Saratoga Springs. I feel pretty strongly about this point. I think we are on top of that list. For those of you unfamiliar with us, I'll tell you a little bit about why I think this is true. We are a city of about 30,000, and we're home to a lot of really interesting things. We have the country's oldest thoroughbred racetrack, national museums of dance and horse racing, great shops, parks, restaurants, an amazing live concert series right down the road at a beautiful outdoor performing arts center. We offer our students things to do here way out of proportion to the size of the city. So you get a lot of the benefits of being in a larger place, but you don't have to be in one. And very few liberal arts college towns in the Northeast US pull that off well. And I think none better than Saratoga. So I do understand that location isn't everything. You all have a lot to consider when you try to pick appropriate colleges for yourselves. But keep in mind, among other things, you are likely choosing your home between the ages of 18 and 22. And we think that that should at least be part of your decision making. And in my entire time here, I have never met a student that doesn't really like Saratoga. So I know some of you are very, very far away and may not have the opportunity to check us out, but you can always discover the city online. And those of you who are closer and have the means to get here, if you do take a look at campus, I would certainly encourage you to take the 0.8 mile walk down the block and check out Saratoga. I think you'll really like what you see. Okay, let me pause there for a moment before I turn it back over to Aiden and Teo. Just a quick recap. We have a wide range of academic choice on a small campus, wonderful strength in the arts and performing arts, a wide range of Greek-free activities with super friendly students, and a really amazing home city of Saratoga Springs. Okay, so I don't see any questions in that Q&A, so I'm really hoping you guys will fire that up before too long. But the next thing I'd like to do is turn it back over to Aiden and Teo. And guys, if you can please share with our viewers the things that you have really liked or appreciated about being a Skidmore student. And maybe this time we'll start with Aiden, please.
Yeah, of course. One of the things that I immediately think of is club events, concerts, things that are going on campus that I sort of have stumbled into and didn't necessarily come into college planning to do. So the radio station is a perfect example of that. One of my good friends here is on the executive board for that. So sophomore year, I started and had a radio show. Loved it. It became part of my weekly routine. So I have an hour long show usually on Sunday mornings. That's what it's been for the last few semesters. And that's a lot of fun. I love music, but I do not play any instruments. I don't sing. I have no other inclination. So it's cool to get involved in music that way. And Wispin, the radio station, also organizes other music events on campus. So we have a big show in the fall that the student government and some other clubs put on. And we've had a variety of artists the last few years. My favorite was Natasha Bedingfield a few years ago. That was really fun. We also do an Earth Day festival in the spring. There are drag shows that happen throughout the year, other performances intermittently. So all of that I love. And there are also just club events that I sort of stumble into. So Wispin is the only club that I'm actively a member of. I also swim, so I'm quite busy, but I love to stop by any club event where there's food. So I always go to the Literary Arts magazine, which is called Lunchbox. They have a launch party in the Tang Museum every semester. They have great food at those. I will happily listen to some poetry, see what people are working on, and have some good food. I have gone to lots of different events, allured by what catering is offering, and found myself in some cool places. So that's all great.
Very similar to Aiden. One of my favorite things about Skidmore is all the different ways to get involved. We have about 2,700 students and over 3,000 events that happen every year. So there really are just like an endless number of ways to get involved. Um, Again, similar to Aiden, I tend to follow where the food is. So whenever there's an event with catered food, I tend to go. The ones that I really love, we have three different art galleries on campus, and there's constantly openings happening during the year. So there's usually catered food at these events as well. So it's just a great place to meet new people, talk about art, eat some good food. Um, as far as other things on campus, there's a great event called Skidmania. It's a bunch of student and staff where they play songs from 50 years ago. So last year was 1975, this year was 1976. A lot of good Elton John and Billy Joel. I wasn't able to go because the tickets are pretty hard to get and you have to get on them quickly. So hopefully I get on them quickly this upcoming year. There's also a lot of good stuff in town. The one that jumps out for me is the second Sunday market. Every second Sunday, there's a vintage clothing market that comes in our park, Congress Park. There's a bunch of vendors where they set up their stuff with a bunch of vintage clothes. Typically a little bit more expensive, but it's well worth it. The clothes are great. But yeah, that's just to name a couple ways to get involved.
Okay, thanks, guys. So let me move on to admissions, give you an idea about how we run that process and what it is that we emphasize. And I see the Q&A filling up. Great questions. When I'm done with the Q&A, I'm sorry, when I'm done with this portion of the program, maybe we'll answer some of those questions live. So if any of you do decide to apply to Skidmore, there will be a number of things that we would like to know about you. We want to know your talents, your skills, your interests, things you like, things you don't like, all of it. But the bottom line is our process is primarily driven by your academic achievement, which means among all paperwork you may submit to us, by far, your high school transcript will be the most important one. And within that, it's your course selection that we will pay the most attention to. We want to see that you're taking on a reasonably challenging academic program. And that is left vague purposely because we know that this can mean very different things at different high schools. Some schools offer 25 AP classes, some don't offer any. That does not make it a bad school. It could just be a curricular choice they've made. Those of you who are joining us from outside the US, your programs, of course, will look different from ours, and we are experienced with that and know what those programs look like. The point is, your course selection relative to offerings at your own school is really important to us. So if we had two applicants from the same high school, and let's say one of them was finishing with a 3.3, solid B plus average, good strong GPA in high school with some difficult classes. Then the classmate also applies, was a 4.0, straight A's, but has never taken any of the school's higher level courses. In our office, we don't even have a conversation. It's very clear to us that the 3.3 is the stronger and better prepared applicant. That GPA went down because the classes were harder. It's usually that simple. I would much rather see you get a solid B in a difficult class than a series of easy A's. And that's how we run the process. Um, I, uh, you know yourselves best. Take on an academic challenge to the degree you think you'll handle it pretty well. And if you're able to do that with some of your school's higher level classes, you are taking a very important step to being a competitive applicant here. So high school transcript is number one. After that, in our process, everything else is tied for second place. I would say one step down from the transcript. So in no particular order, I will quickly run through the other items we consider, and then I'll wrap it up, and the three of us will turn our attention to the Q&A. So you guys will have to write an essay for us. I imagine this is not breaking news to anyone in this webinar. It has been part of the deal for quite some time. I'll say about the essay, if you don't have a Nobel Prize or you haven't cured cancer yet, it's okay. If you have yet to do something heroic, amazing, or newsworthy, you can still write a terrific college essay. I have read wonderful submissions about summer camp, grandmothers, best friends, issues that are important to our applicants. Those are the stories that resonate with us the most. And I am well aware that it sounds cliched, but the term use your own voice, it really does apply here. If you make your essay sound like you are well on your way to writing an effective one. And the maximum word length is only 650 words. It's actually not that long. That's probably about a page or so. So get to the point, tell us something interesting, and we will appreciate that. As for the supplemental essay questions, sometimes referred to as the short answers, we do not have those. And you are welcome. You will thank us later on this cycle if it's your turn to apply and you don't have to do the short answers for us. We used to have them. We felt like we were throwing something very generic out there that wasn't really helpful to our applicants or to us. We abandoned them quite a number of years ago now, and never felt like we knew our applicant pool any less well. So perhaps we've made it just a touch easier to apply to Skidmore. Now, other folks will write about you as well. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation from teachers in academic subjects, as well as one from your guidance or college counselor. Now, regarding activities, you may be aware that the Common Application will give you the opportunity to fill in up to 10 things that you're involved in. Now, I've always thought that that's a pretty big number, and I hope you're not intimidated by it or feel like you must fill in every line on that application to convince us that you're nicely involved. Sometimes the best involved students I read only fill in 3 because those are the things they clearly care about and have stuck with over time. It is very much quality over quantity in our review process. And we get it. If you're a varsity athlete, that's a ton of hours after class. If you're in your school's play, same number of hours. Maybe you've had a part-time job. There are a million things you could be doing that are worthwhile, and we will make no value judgment about your choices. It is our hope, though, that you maintain consistent involvement in at least a few. Do your thing or things, do a few of them pretty well, and that will serve you well in our process. Finally, the last piece of the admissions puzzle for us is standardized testing. We are very firmly a test optional school. We feel very strongly that your high school transcript is not only a better indicator of the kind of student you are now, but also a far better predictor on how you might fare in college. In fact, when we look at our own students' standardized test scores, they provide us with virtually no correlation to first-year Skidmore GPA. It is all over the map. So for us, it was losing its predictive value. There were a number of socioeconomic issues tied to fairness that we were growing more and more uncomfortable with, and we just decided to make the break. So it's really up to you. You can send scores, you don't have to. And trust me, we know what's up. If you send your scores, that probably means you're a strong tester. And if you are deciding to keep them to yourself, well, maybe testing isn't your thing. Of course, that's what's happening. But I can tell you that last year, 68% of the students we admitted sent us no scores at all. So it really is up to you. Send them or not send them. The one caveat to that is for students, for the most part, outside of the US, if English is not your first language, or if you have, and also if you have not studied in an all English high school curriculum for at least 3 years, then we do require one of the English as a second language tests to make sure that you are proficient in English. And that's admissions in a nutshell. Nice and easy, right? Well, hopefully people aren't too stressed out. We do try to take some of the mystery out of the whole subject with these webinars. That's all I have to formally present. I know that Aiden and Teo have been busily typing in the background, and thank you guys for that. I'm going to take a look at some of the answers that perhaps we haven't gotten to yet and see if we can answer them live. So let's see. Here's a question about how accessible the Career Development Center is for students looking to secure internships during their first 2 years. Guys, are either of you ready, willing, or able to take that one?
Yeah, of course, I can talk about the Career Development Center. So they offer all of the services that you could hope for them to. Of course, you can get feedback for your resume, cover letter. You can get headshots taken there. They run a program called Handshake, which is what we use to find jobs and internships. It's an online platform. And every semester, they also do job fairs. And they have alumni come and other professionals in various fields so that students can network and meet people. I would say the Career Development Center definitely does a great job at pairing people with internships. The number, I believe, is over 70% of students here that have had one or more internships while they're studying here. I also think that your professors would be an excellent resource. I know in the Environmental Science and Studies department, I also know that this is the case in other departments. They have an emailing list where they send out internships and jobs honestly every week, couple of weeks, and they'll have a long list of suggested opportunities. So I feel like your professor sometimes can tailor specifically to what your career path might be.
Thank you for that. Here's a question about does Skidmore have an academic counselor or someone that I can talk to about academics and my future goals? The answer to that is a resounding yes, but I would love to flip that over to one of you guys to talk about your experience with advisors.
So I have had the same advisor for the whole time that I've been here. When you come into Skidmore, your advisor is your freshman seminar professor. So we have a Scribner seminar, which happens in the fall of your freshman year. And the professor of that class is your advisor. So the summer before you come in, you meet with them and they will help you get scheduling all sorted out, figure out what classes you want to take, and you stick with that professor until you declare a major in your department. You can stay with them longer if you'd like, but usually you would transition to somebody in your department. I took a freshman seminar that was in the environmental studies department. So I've had the same professor the whole time. And she has been really incredible and is definitely someone who I have met with before just about career advising. Every time we see each other, we chat a little bit. I have seen her at Spring Run Trail walking with her family, which is just a mile or two from campus. So, all of the advisors and all of the professors in general really truly do care about students. So, um, I've heard great things from all of my friends' advisors and advising experiences.
Thank you. Okay, there's a question. I don't believe you interview any longer. That is correct, but we do measure demonstrated interest. Um, and the way we do that is ways that you contact us. And by being in this webinar is a way that you have contacted us. There are lots of ways that you can do that. Visiting us in person is great. We love to have people come to campus, but we know that's not in the cards with everyone's busy schedules. So for those folks, reaching out online, like you guys are doing this evening, is really important. There is a big difference in our view between attending a webinar and never contacting us at all. So, saying nothing for where any of you might wind up enrolling, the fact that you have reached out to us like this makes you more likely to than those who haven't. And that's something that we really appreciate and can have an impact on our eventual decision. And don't feel like you have to come to campus three, four times. You don't have to send us cookies. It's not like that. It's more like let's see a little bit more than the application. And for the person who posed that question, I don't know where you live, but a lot of you are from very far away, and you rely on others for rides and plane rides, and that's not always in the mix. So certainly online connections like this count. Um, and we have other online offerings that you can attend during the year. And if you can get to an open house or take a campus tour, we love that because we love showing it off, and we think people generally like when they visit. But yes, that can definitely help, and all of you have already taken that important first step. There's another question here about merit-based scholarships. We do have two. One is in musical performance, and the other is in STEM. If you go to the financial aid webpage, there is a link called Merit Scholarships. Together, those scholarships make up 2% of our overall financial aid budget. We are primarily focused on need-based aid, and we do guarantee to meet full need for all 4 years of your attendance here. But that music and STEM, the Filene Music Scholarship and the Porter Wackenheim Math and Science Scholarship, you can look both of those up on the financial aid webpage. Question about how popular study abroad is. Probably about 55% or so of our students study abroad. It's available to all academic majors. As a college, we're practically pushing it out the door. We think it's a great idea and help facilitate that for any student who is interested. Okay. Question about theater. Either of you know anyone who's a theater major
I can
or
talk
maybe
about
able to?
theater.
Okay, thank you.
So a little bit about our facilities. We've got a 350 seat main stage, two little studio spaces, which typically are like smaller shows that happen. They're student directed. And then we also have a black box theater. Students in the department have all sorts of access to professional lighting, scenic and costuming equipment, because typically the students are actually the ones making the shows come to life. That all comes through this one credit course that we offer called Theater and Company, where you basically have to get involved in all the different areas of putting on a show, and that ultimately is what puts on the shows. Um, each semester, we have one main stage show, which is a semester long, a black box show, which is half a semester long and student directed, usually by a senior who's into playwriting. And then around 5 to 8 little student run workshops. These are shows that are like 2 to 3 weeks long. They're typically completely student run, student directed, student costumed. Everything is all done by the students. Um, it's not required that you're a major to do any of the shows, and it's actually very common that you see non-theater majors cast in the shows, which is pretty cool. It's also you don't have to major to take any of the classes in the theater department. You know, you could be a biology student and then take a class in the theater department if you want to. Yeah, that's a little bit about theater.
Okay, thanks. So here's a question. I love how it's worded. Is there a major diverse community, or is it more of a cult of the same types of people? Um, I know that we measure diversity in lots of ways, but guys, I would love to hear your perspective on the different kinds of people you've met, and you can define that in a number of ways.
Yeah, I one of the more surprising things about coming here was how diverse the students are. I maybe had this image of what I thought a liberal arts student would be like, and I kind of thought people were going to be pretty similar here. I don't really know what that image was, but I can definitely tell you that it is not a cult of people of the same personality traits. Everything from we have over 100 clubs, so there are people interested in all of those diverse interests. We have lots of different cultural clubs and organizations like that. We have 19 different sports teams, and we have sports offered also at club and intramural levels. So people are interested in athletics from the D3 level all the way through maybe a more casual intramural option. Business is our most popular major. So you have the maybe business econ lacrosse player. You also have people that are in the arts and STEM and are playing a sport and in the arts and STEM and anything in between.
I think Aiden said it really well. I think the only thing I can really add is like the only connecting line between all Skidmore students is how unique they all are. Everyone is so different and unique, and it's nice walking around campus and seeing people with all different types of fashion walking by. You see someone in a t-shirt, and the next person is wearing a full suit. You know, uh, Aiden really did put it well. I just wanted to add that little bit.
It's a good, that's a good extra anecdote. I like that. Here's a question about core requirements. Do we have them? If so, how many and how much room is left over for electives outside of a person's major? Can you guys address that, please?
Absolutely. So we have 10 core requirements. I can list them. We've got the Scribner Seminar, Global Cultural Perspective, Applied Quantitative Reasoning, a language course, a writing course, um, uh, humanistic, artistic, scientific inquiry, bridge experience, and senior coda. Now, this might sound overwhelming. I promise it's not. Most of these are actually completable by the second semester of your sophomore year. That is because a lot of our classes will actually meet more than one of these requirements at once. Our classes are set up in such an interdisciplinary way that you're going to be dealing with math in your humanities classes and you're going to be dealing with science in your art classes. So you can sometimes meet two, three requirements at once. So it's very easy to get those done if you're working with your advisor. And there's absolutely time to take classes in any department you want. A good example of that, I wasn't always an art major. I came to Skidmore as a psychology major, then I became a business major, and then I became an art major. So I was able to take all these classes in different fields before I landed on the thing that I wanted to do. So you absolutely have extra time, even within the 10 core requirements that you have to do.
Hey, thank you for that. Okay, here's a question. Do high school AP classes? Oh, Aiden, you're taking care of that. Thank you.
I can
Let's
also just
see.
answer it. Speaking is
Sure.
fine. Yes, we take AP classes. For AP, it's fours and fives on the exams. AP classes, IB courses, and community college, you can transfer up to 16 credits total. You can't get out of any of the requirements with those transfer credits. You can test into maybe a higher level of a language, for example. I did that with an AP score from my AP Spanish class. Those 16 credits go into your bank. So, really, you could take less credits certain semesters or have like an intro to some of the other courses like chemistry or math or something and have a higher level, but you cannot um, get out of a requirement.
And I will just add a little bit to that, that just the fact that you are taking AP classes and hopefully handling them pretty well, of course, will be a big plus for you in the admission process. And for those of you who may be doing IB, same policy for a 5, 6, or 7 on a higher level exam. Question about the average cost of tuition. Tuition for a full year is now about 73,000. Um, we know that's a big number, but if that is out of your family's reach, please apply for need-based financial aid. We do guarantee to meet full need for all 4 years. So we realize that we are kind of in that group of expensive U.S. colleges. But we definitely meet the full need for all 4 years. So please fill out that paperwork. It will definitely be worth your while. Okay, that follow about IB. We don't grant credit for the courses themselves because you do need to get either the 5, 6, or 7 on a higher level exam. So the course itself will not do it. It is the result of the exam. Okay, a question about can you stack merit scholarships? If I'm understanding that correctly, sometimes people bring in merit scholarships from outside of Skidmore. I hope that's what you're referring to with that question. Yes, you can certainly, if you receive outside money, we will credit that toward your expenses here, and you can bring in any outside source that will cover your expenses. Oh, here's a cool question, guys. What is one campus resource students don't use enough? Hmm. Haven't heard that one before. You guys have any
I
reply to
can take
that?
this. Absolutely. We've got a space on campus called the Idea Lab. It's kind of like the maker space space on campus. There's 3D printers in there, soldering guns, large scale color printing, industrial sewing machines, really so much you can do in there. And a lot of students absolutely make use of this space, but the one thing I constantly hear from my friends is like, oh, if I had more time, like I would be in the Idea Lab all the time. I wish I was in the Idea Lab more. I used it in a graphic design class that I took. I wanted to make these cans, so I designed the labels on Photoshop. I brought them into the Idea Lab and printed them out on this sticky paper called phototext. Then I attached that to the cans, did some product photography, and got an A on the assignment. So it's definitely well worth using that space. Um, but yeah, that instantly made me think of that. So.
I will also say, PAC. I'm biased because I work for PAC, but every department offers PAC. It's peer academic coaching. It's a drop-in tutoring service. So Sunday to Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m., you can stop in, and there are upper level students that have been chosen by the professors in every department to provide support for the intro level courses. So we spend time preparing, for example, study sessions for exams that are coming up. But I also think PAC is a great resource for something like scheduling each semester. I love when people come in and ask about what classes they should be taking or just are curious to learn more about the department. I'm always happy to talk about that. General advising. It's a great service and it's completely drop in. It's always there. You can just come by for 5 minutes. And it's very accessible. So I would recommend that you make use of that if you come.
Okay. All right. So I don't have any other open questions right now. Give it another minute or so to see if anybody has remaining questions. If not, as I said before, it's certainly okay to end the session early, but we'll keep it open for a bit. If you guys have any questions after this session concludes, I would encourage you to send an email to admissions, that's with an S at the end, admissions at skidmore.edu. We take those emails in every day and distribute them to myself and other admissions counselors. And we kind of have a rule here. We try to reply within a day. If you don't hear from someone right away, it could just be because they were away, but we do try to turn those over rather quickly. So if there are any questions again after this session is over, please send that email there. So I'm going to give it another. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay. Interesting question. Is there something that surprises people about Skidmore as a school or the campus? Do you guys get any sense or even surprised yourselves as you arrived to Skidmore?
People are usually surprised that business is our most popular major. I think that we've sort of already touched on this, but we have an excellent business program. Besides that, people are surprised sometimes with, I was maybe surprised with how walkable the community is, or like I didn't necessarily expect it not to be, but it's really easy to get off campus and get downtown. There are so many streets that you can take to walk downtown. They're all well lit, safe at any time throughout the day or night. So that always is something that people really like.
Okay, great. There's a question here about early decision. We do have two rounds of early decision, ED1 and ED2, as we call them. Together between the two rounds, we typically enroll about half of our incoming class. Our advice about early decision, because it's not early action, we do not offer that. We have early decision, which means it is a binding agreement. If you apply under either plan, you do agree to withdraw all other applications and enroll with us. So it's a serious first choice commitment. But if we are your first choice after having done your research, I would highly recommend early decision. The acceptance rate is higher, so it could be a little bit easier to get in. But also, you could be walking around your high school halls in December with your Skidmore sweatshirt on, and it's all over. And there's certainly something very appealing about that. But if we're not your first choice, or you're not for sure able to say that, I would advise applying regular instead. Teo, there's a question here specifically to you. Can you talk a little bit about the studio art major and its facilities?
Absolutely. I love our studio art facilities. The our building itself, it's split by medium. So the bottom is 3D, so that's going to be sculpture, ceramics, jewelry and metals, printmaking, and fabrics. I guess within that, I'll talk a little bit about ceramics. The studios are really, really cool. We've got massive classroom space for students, and then we've got a really great glazing room with like 22 different glazes and a bunch of different oxides and stuff that you can cover the surface of your ceramics work with. We've also have a great kiln room. There's 3 electric kilns and like 10 gas kilns. Um, massive gas kilns. And we've all got pit firing and sagger firing stuff outside. Then the middle floor of the building is digital media. So that's going to be comm design, graphic design, animation, video, and photography. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm a film person. I do film at Skidmore. Um, so I'm definitely within that digital media track. And then the top floor is 2D, so that's going to be drawing and painting. The studios are great when you take a 300 level studio class, they actually give you your own studio space. So that's going to be like a section of wall or like a little cubicle. You can really go crazy with putting up mood boards and references and whatever you need to make your work happen. I recently had my own studio space in a drawing two class I took, and I really took advantage of that. And I had a bunch of stuff up on the walls, made it a lot easier for me to come in at like 2 in the morning to get my work done. So I had a little like homey space. But yeah, that's a little basics on the art department.
Great answer. Thanks, Teo. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Another art question, Teo, maybe you can take this. Students who are interested in art but aren't art majors, I guess. What spaces are they able to use?
With permission, you can actually use the art studio without taking classes if you are someone who makes art but just doesn't have it in their schedule to be able to take art classes. But there's various events, especially club events. There's little like arts and crafts stuff that happens throughout the year, whether it's student government is hosting something or I know the tabletop club does an arts and crafts night, stuff like that usually. As far as getting involved, we have multiple art galleries on campus. We have 3 of them. And there are multiple student shows that happen throughout the year where you're able to submit work. That's another great way that non-art majors can get involved because anyone can submit their work into those shows. There's also another one of the art galleries is a student-run art gallery. So there's constantly student curated shows that happen, and those are a lot easier to get into because students want to showcase other students' work. I recently had one of my drawings showcased in a student show, which was pretty cool.
Great. Okay, I think we may wrap it up there. We got through a lot of questions. Thank you both for your fast typing and great live answers. Um, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope that this was helpful. If this is your first connection to Skidmore, we hope it won't be your last. We love taking follow-up questions. We love having people attend these sessions and think, hey, maybe Skidmore would be a good fit and investigate a little bit further. We have an open house coming up in the fall. We're open Monday through Saturday for most of the year for tours and information sessions. During some times of the year, we offer specialized tours for STEM interested students and for the arts. So we really try to tailor the experience to your interests. So please continue to keep in touch. I know the college search process is stressful, but we're really nice people here, and we want to try to make it an okay process for you. And again, we hope that we will encounter you either live or on one of these webinars again. So again, good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you are tuning in. Aiden and Teo, you guys are awesome at this. Thank you so much for joining me. And so long to everybody. Thanks again for joining us.